Hello, everybody. I'm about to do something that we've never done on this channel before, which is do a power rankings video. And I know everybody in the world who's ever made a YouTube video ever has made a power rankings video of some sort. But I'm trying to do things a tiny bit differently. Also, I'm just bored as shit. I have nothing to do. So I'm just going to throw this together. What these power rankings are, most power rankings, they go based off of preseason power rankings. So where everybody is ranked in after week 2 has to do with where they were before, has to do with their expectations. So you'll have 2-0 teams that were supposed to be bad, so they're still ranked really low. Or you'll have 0-2 or 1-1 teams that haven't looked good so far, but we all expect them to look good, so they're higher. But for me, I'm going based off of the mindset of you just dropped me into the season without telling me any expectations. So I'm just going based off of what I've seen through the first 2 weeks, and that's why my rankings might differ a little bit. That's why, you'll see some teams higher than you might expect or lower than you might expect. And that's just going based off of what I've seen so far. So it's not, there is some bias involved. I mean, I do hate some of these teams. And trust me, I'll let you know when they come up. But for the most part, it's my slightly biased view on where these teams are, okay? You see that plugin with the channel name? Oh, that reminds me. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Only like 70%, or I'm sorry, only like 30% of the people who watch these videos are subscribed. I know. A lot of people don't watch. You don't need to tell me. But still, those of you who aren't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. We drop a lot of NFL and NBA stuff. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get through these. I'm trying to have this not be an hour-long video. I want to do this as quickly as possible. So let's go ahead and go with number 32, the worst team in the league. It is not a secret. It's the New York Jets. They look horrifically bad. They're an embarrassment to the league. Every day that Adam Gase is the head coach of this franchise is a new low point for the franchise and for the league. It's a horrible laughingstock. Offensively, terrible. Defensively, terrible. Coaching, terrible, horrible, horrific. There's no reason to watch a Jets game. If you're a Jets fan, leave. Okay? Go elsewhere. Any other team in the league is better than this. And I feel sorry. I feel sorry for Sam Darnold because I think that there might be something there, but how can you tell? And this is definitely his last year, really, to prove himself. He has no offensive line. He has no offensive weapons. He is the worst head coach to ever coach in the history of the NFL. It's embarrassing to see. I'm sorry for Jets fans at 32 easily. Next up, 31. Okay, now remember, this is going based off of just what we have seen so far this season. No preseason expectations at all. It's the Minnesota Vikings. They look horrific. They haven't looked competitive at all. Their defense is a shell of itself. The defensive line, Ngakoue had a nice little play. He forced a fumble on Sunday, but still, you're not getting the pressure you hope to get. Their secondary is very young, and it shows. It's terrible. Kirk Cousins went, 6 of 20 and threw 3 picks on Sunday. I know one of them was like a last-second heave at the end of the first half. I think another one was tipped, but still, he looks horrific. The whole team looks horrific. Offensive line is below average to bad. Zimmer, he's starting to be a little exposed. Just doesn't look good. They're 31 right now. They look like the second worst team in football. Obviously, if you factor in the preseason expectations, you'll probably have them where these other guys have them, ESPN 19, 20, in that range. They look like the second worst team in football right now. Okay? 30, we got the New York Giants. Offensively, it is just bad. Factor in the fact that now you're without Saquon. Defensively, doesn't look good. Maybe I'm a little harsh on the Giants, but I don't know. It's just something about watching them. When their offensive line is terrible. Daniel Jones has struggled a bit at times. Saquon obviously now out for the season. That sucks, and that kind of factors into the ranking here. But even when he did play, he really couldn't get anything going. It's a rebuilding process for them. That's really all it boils down to. It's a rebuilding process. Next up, 29, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, I hate this team. I'm a Cowboys fan. This team looks like shit. Full stop. They look terrible. Carson Wentz looks terrible. I don't know. We've joked and memed about Carson Wentz being bad for years now, but there's actually legitimately something wrong now. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if somebody came in and tweaked with his mechanics. That's what some people think. Are his offensive weapons really that horrendous? I mean, yeah, they're pretty bad, but I don't think they're as bad as some people think that they are. But this team looks bad. This team looks really bad. The Rams did whatever they wanted to. Offensively, Wentz looks terrible. They can't get anything going. I don't know. I don't like the way this team looks right now. I have them at 29. Next up, 28. A little unfair, but it is what it is. It's the Houston Texans. They've had by far the most brutal start to the season schedule-wise. Chiefs, Ravens. But, and you know what? If they went 0-2, I think most people probably expected them to go 0-2, but it's just the fact that they have not competed whatsoever. They have not competed whatsoever. I think we'll probably get, and they have the Steelers, I think, next week. So their schedule just continues to be brutal. Maybe we'll start to get a more accurate representation of this team once, their schedule settles down. But still, people think that this might be a playoff team. They're going up against really good teams, and they're looking horrific. So that's why I have them at 28. It's a little bit brutal. But again, I'm just going based off of what we've seen so far. And that's what we've seen. Next up at 27, the Detroit Lions. This pains me because I predicted that they would make the playoffs. I'm not fully ready to jump off that bandwagon, but I pretty much am. Patricia looks like a joke. He's one of the worst coaches in the NFL. I feel sorry for Detroit fans. Obviously, Kenny G being hurt hurts, but it's really their offense hasn't been that bad. Defense has been terrible. It's been terrible. Okuda made his first start Sunday, looked horrible, but it just seems like the defensive schemes are so bad that everybody on the defense is set up for failure, unfortunately. So I have them at 27. Hopefully things, they were DeAndre Swift dropping that pass away from being 1-1, and the season looks a little bit different. But still, I have them here at 27. 26, we have the Falcons, fresh off of one of the most, if not the most, embarrassing loss of all time, and that's saying something considering what they did in Super Bowl was at 51. But defensively, horrifically bad defense. Yet again, they've been having a bad defense. Offensively, they look great. I mean, Matt Ryan looks really good. Calvin Ridley looks like a superstar in the league now. Pair him with Julio Jones. Russell Gage looks like one of the best number 3 options in the NFL. But it really doesn't matter when your secondary and your defense as a whole is this terrible. And also, Dan Quinn has probably overstayed his welcome. They're at 26 right now. Number 25, we have the Carolina Panthers. Maybe I'm a little too high on them. Maybe I would, in retrospect, maybe knock them down below Atlanta. But defensively, I mean, we knew coming into the season that they'd probably be the worst defense in the NFL. A lot of people thought that they can maybe be historically bad, and they look really bad defensively. Offensively, they're a pretty fun team to watch. CMC being out for the next, 3 to 4 weeks, I think. That's going to suck, but they have some weapons on offense. Teddy does not look very good, but I love DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel. That's a really nice little trio right there. But, yeah, it's a work in progress. And I've seen some Panthers fans already really upset about, holy shit, I'm blanking on his name. Homeboy, new coach's name, Matt Rule. But give it some time, man. Okay? Give it some time. This season was supposed to be a reset year anyway. So just be patient, okay? Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins, 0-2, but they've been competitive in both games, so that's why I have them up here. The talent is there. They have some bad injuries. I don't know Byron Jones's status, but him being hurt sucks. Fitz, the Fitz magic looks like it might be fading away, so I don't know when Tua comes in. That'll be interesting to see, but right now they're at 24. The expectations for them were low this season. Maybe thought that, some people think they could have been a 6, 7, 8-win team, maybe around there, but, they're going to be pretty bad. They're a young rebuilding team, and the pieces are there. It just is what it is. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, who are also 0-2, but again, they've been competitive in both games. A bad OPI of shanked short field goal in week 1 cost them that game. They could easily be 1-1 right now. And the 35-30 score against Cleveland, that's a little misleading because it was a 2-possession game until late. But still, they played hard. Burrow threw the ball 60 times. He looks good, though. Offensive line does look a little bit improved. There's still a long way to go, that's for sure. But Jonah Williams looks pretty good. You're probably going to see them spend at least 1 draft pick on offensive line this upcoming draft. Defensively, it's pretty bad, but there's some pieces there. And, you'd like to see Joe Mixon get going. A.J. Green looks good. Tyler Boyd is good. So we'll see. Right now they're at 23. Moving on, 22. We have the first 1-1 team, and that's football team. I want to like this team more than I do. Honestly, I love Ron Rivera. I love his story. Defensively, defensive line at least, this defense is as advertised. People thought that this defensive line would look really good. They do. Chase Young has looked really good. Offensively, though, it is really bad. And I'm not going to put all the blame on Haskins just yet, just because outside of Terry McLaurin, there's nothing for him to throw the ball to. So I have him at 22 right now, a bad offensive line as well. I'm not the biggest believer in Haskins. If the season ends and he doesn't really show improvement, I think maybe you consider moving on. But it's tough because this is his first full season. Of course, I don't remember at what point he started last year, but this is his first full season, and the pieces just aren't around him. So you feel bad for him, but he's got to play better. Next up, we have the highest-ranked 0-2 team, and that's the Denver Broncos. Might be a little too high on them, but they've been super competitive in both of their games. I know that the Tennessee game is weird because Gostkowski missed, 8 kicks? But, injuries have plagued this team horribly. And, Sutton's out for the season now. I don't know what Drew Lock's status is. Von Miller obviously got hurt before week 1, out for the season. Just so many different injuries. And I don't know how they're going to bounce back from that. But I have them at 21 because they've played competitively. I think I'm way too high on them now. But I'm not changing it. They're at 21. It kind of feels like last year, they started, 0-4 or something last year. And you could tell that they weren't an 0-4 team. I don't think this is an 0-2 team. But with the injuries now, who knows? Next up, we have the second lowest 1-1 team, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, before any Cowboys fans shit on me, understand this. I am a Cowboys fan, okay? And I'm not rah-rahing about that win on Sunday because that was the biggest fluke win of all time, and the Cowboys should very, very much be 0-2 right now, and we should all be embarrassed, okay? I get that it was an excitingly fun win, but what was the stat? The team, whatever, it was 440-0, and the Cowboys became the first team to win. Okay, that was a fluke win. You play that game 1,000 times, you only win once. And this just so happened to be the one time, 1 in 1,000 that this happens. So I'm really not putting too much stock in that win. The defense looks horrific. Offensive line looked better on Sunday, but there's still so many questions there. There's already so many injuries. The secondary is so unproven. I don't know. I'm not excited about this team at all. I'm at 20. Sorry. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns at 19, coming off of a win. Not ready to crown them or anything after beating the Bengals, but they should be a decently competitive team this year. They have the pieces all the way around. Secondary, I love Denzel Ward. I love Myles Garrett. He looked really good on Thursday night. Offensively, obviously, they have all of the weapons in the world. It was nice seeing OBJ get a touchdown. Nick Chubb is a monster. Kareem Hunt is a monster. It's just, can they put it together? Can Baker Mayfield consistently play like he did Thursday night? It's tough to say. I have him at 19 right now. Next up, we have one of the biggest surprises of the season so far. That's the Jaguars, 1-1. They damn near came back and won this game against Tennessee. I don't know how Tennessee let them back in this game. But right now, if you're just going based off of this season, there's no way you can have the Jaguars at 26 or 25 like ESPN, NFL Network have them. There's just no way. They've been competitive in both games. Minshew just refuses to let this team tank. Really. That's what it boils down to. The defense is bad, yeah, but they're going to win. They're probably going to finish 4 or 5 wins and probably miss out on a top 3, top 4 pick because Minshew is going to will them to victories. Next up, at 17, we have the Indianapolis Colts. They look good on Sunday against the Vikings. Week 1, though, still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I like what I saw from Jonathan Taylor. Offensive line, obviously, he's one of the best in the NFL. Defense, though, it's still pretty questionable. Yeah, that's really it. And obviously, there are so many question marks surrounding Phillip Rivers. That's really what it boils down to. Moving on, we have the Chargers, who almost beat the Chiefs this past weekend. I'm really disappointed in Anthony Lynn. I don't know what in the fuck he's on about, right? Herbert comes in, thrust it in. Sounded like he knew 30 seconds before kickoff is what I saw one tweet say, that he was going to be the starter. He pushed the Chiefs to the brink. Obviously, he had his rookie moments, sure, but he looked pretty solid. And then for Anthony Lynn to come out and basically say, yeah, he's a backup for a reason. When Tyrod's healthy, we're going to go with him. I don't know. That seemed unnecessary to me. I get that he might like Tyrod, and I get he wants Tyrod to succeed, and, I get it. I like Tyrod too. But to shit on your backup quarterback, your rookie quarterback, who you just spent, what was it, a 6 overall pick on? Seems a little bit weird to me. Defensively, though, they're a really good defense. Good defensive line, a really good secondary, even without Derwin James. So that's why I have them here at 16. They're probably around that average range. I would put them around there right now, which isn't bad. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And honestly, I'm kind of shocked that nobody has them in the top 10. But we'll see. They started out looking really good against Carolina, and then they just completely hit a wall at the start of the second half. They let Carolina climb back in the game. It was a one-possession game, like midway through the fourth quarter. So we'll see. Tom Brady, there's some rust there. Gronk looks washed, just completely looks washed. Defensively, they look much improved. So we'll see. I definitely can see this team making the playoffs and being competitive in the playoffs. And also, Leonard Fournette looked great on Sunday, so that's good to see. So I have them at 15. I think that's a fair spot. If they beat the Saints, they're much, much higher. But at 1-1 right now, we still really don't know what to expect out of this team. I think 15 is fair. Next up, probably one of my most controversial, I guess, rankings. That's San Francisco 49ers. Holy shit. Sports Illustrated has them at 20? That seems harsh. I guess they're taking injuries into account. But 49ers here at 14. If you guys watched our preseason prediction videos, you know that I picked this team to not make the playoffs, and I think you could definitely make the argument that they are the worst team in this division right now. And that's not to say they're terrible. It's just an amazingly good division. There's just something. I just had a feel of this team before the season, and now they are just going through it injury-wise. I think 14 is fair. Took care of business against the Jets, who are, as I said, horrific. But I don't know. It's kind of scary moving forward for this Niners team, that's for sure. I got them at 14. So many injuries. So many. Next up, we have the Saints. As you can see, everybody has them in the top 10. I had to boot them out, man. I think going into this week, if I made this video last week, I would probably have had Saints at number 1. I think that their roster is that talented, but there was something about Drew Brees last night that scared me. He does not look good, and he does not look like he's willing to throw the ball deep. He looks scared to throw the ball deep. That scares me going forward. Defense, that scared me going forward. I'll just chalk this up to it being them really not coming out ready to play in Vegas, their first game in Vegas, wanting to make a statement. But I didn't like what I saw. Remember, this is just taking out preseason expectations totally. So this is, if you just threw me in starting week 1, you told me nothing about the NFL, and I was just going based off of what I saw, this is where I'd have the Saints at 13. They're one of the highest rated 1-on-1 teams, so I think that's probably fair. But Monday night scared me, man. That's for sure. Next up, we have the lowest rated 2-0 team, and that is the Chicago Bears. But you see, I'm higher on them than most. I just can't justify having a 2-0 team below other teams. They're 2-0. They haven't looked that impressive, man. I would say they probably played 2 quarters of good football on offense. They had the fourth quarter against the Lions, and then it was either the first or the second quarter against the Giants where they scored most of their points. Mitch has shown improvement. I mean, he's probably now a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL, but he used to be guaranteed the bottom. But now he's only bottom 5. So he's making steps. Maybe next year he'll get the bottom 10. Who knows? I'm not sold on this team whatsoever. 2-0. Yeah, Lions win kind of felt a little fluky. That felt like a Lions loss. Like, that felt like a patented Detroit Lions loss. And the Giants, man, they just couldn't put them away. It looked like they were going to blow them out of the water. They let them creep back in. And the Giants almost won this game at the end. So, their defense isn't what it used to be. It looked pretty decent on Sunday, but I'm just not high on this team really at all. Next up, we have the Tennessee Titans, who I might be a little low on, but I wasn't incredibly high on this team going into the season. And Tannehill looks maybe the best he's ever looked, but there's still something about this team. The offensive line's playing a little disappointing. They really can't get Henry going, but Henry's been, a second half of the season dude for his entire career up until now. I've liked what I've seen from Corey Davis, that's for sure. A.J. Brown being hurt hurts, especially in fantasy for any A.J. Brown owners. Defensively, there's a lot to improve on, but if they took care of business against Jacksonville, I'd have them higher. But the fact that they let them creep back in, and all of a sudden that game was tied at 30-30, they needed a last-second field goal again to win. That speaks to me a little bit. There's something about this team that I can't quite put a finger on it, but I don't really like right now. At number 10, I have the highest-rated 1-on-1 team. That is the Patriots. I think 10 is a perfectly fair spot. As you see, everybody has them in this 9 to 10 range. They look really good, man. Sunday, they looked amazing. Defensively, obviously, they're missing a lot of people. Stephon Gilmore had probably his worst game I've ever seen him have. DK Metcalf cooked him. But I'll attribute that more to Russell Wilson being Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf being a really good player. But defensively, obviously, they're not the team they were last year. Offensively, though, Cam just brings a whole new dynamic to this team. He looks like MVP Cam. He's playing absolutely out of his mind right now. And because of that, I am at 10. I think that they're a scary team right now. Can Cam keep up this level of play? I mean, knock on wood, barring injury, I don't see why not, truthfully. Next up, at number 9, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. You see, I'm the only person that has them in the top 10. I have no idea why. This team looks like a top 10 team right now. Offensively, they just know their strengths, and they play to it. Would I like to see Derek Carr air it out more to Henry Ruggs? Yeah, of course. But that's just not really his style of play. That's not really what the Raiders do. But I will say Henry Ruggs, he might not have a huge impact box score wise yet, but you can just tell watching the games, especially against the Saints, he scares defenses. They send attention to him. And Josh Jacobs looks great. Darren Waller looks unstoppable. That offensive line's good. Derek Carr's look good. Not amazing, good. And defensively, I think they're playing a little above expectations so far. So I have them at number 9 right now. A sneaky playoff team for sure. I think that they could definitely sneak in. I mean, they were hanging around in there last year too until week 15, week 16 or so. Next up, we have the surprise team of the year, maybe, depending on who you ask. The Arizona Cardinals. I have them at number 8. They're 2-0. Kyler Murray looks like an MVP candidate. DeAndre Hopkins looks like he fits like a glove in this system. Their offense is scary. Kyler Murray, when he runs, God, he's almost impossible to bring down. Defensively, a little bit to be desired. They're a really young defense. You know what this team kind of reminds me of right now is, this is a really weird comparison, but they're kind of reminding me of the Denver Nuggets in the sense that they're a really young team, but they're way ahead of schedule now. And they're going to be competing. They're going to be competing for a playoff spot. They can compete with people in the playoffs, but they're still maybe 2-3 years away from really reaching their peak. But right now, man, the 2-0, obviously. I mean, football team is not that great of a team, but to beat the Niners, and they beat them pretty convincingly week 1, and they look just good. Offensively, they look really, really good. So I'm at 8. I think that's completely fair. At number 7, I have one of the sneakier teams in the NFL. That's the Rams, just because I feel like no one's talking about them because nobody cares about LA football, despite what the NFL thinks. They just look really good. Defensively, they look good. I wouldn't say great. They look good. But offensively, McVay kind of looks like he's back in his bag, man. People were questioning him. People were calling him a fraud last year, but he looks like he's back in his bag. They're getting everybody in the offense involved. What did Higbee have 3 touchdowns this past week? The week before, Malcolm Brown had the game of his life. This week, Darrell Henderson had the game of his life. So it just seems like, I mean, McVay's one of those coaches where they're going to get everybody involved, and they look really good right now. They really do. Goff hasn't looked amazing or anything, but he hasn't needed to. They're really playing to their strengths. They know their offensive line's not good, so they get the ball out quick. They run these quick little gadget plays, and they work. I'm at 7 right now. They look scary, man. They really do. At number 6, I have the Bills. Bills fans, don't kill me here because this might be a little bit low, but this is just where I have them right now. Maybe I would, in retrospect, maybe I would flip them in who I have at number 5. But the defense looks good. Josh Allen leads the league in passing, I'm pretty sure. Stephon Diggs, obviously an immediate impact. Looks great. Devin Singletary, I think looks sneaky good, even though his numbers aren't there. But when I watch, he looks good. That's just it. I mean, 6 is a really respectable spot. The league seems really talented this year. So 6 is a respectable spot. They're one of the scarier teams in the NFC, that's for sure. At number 5, I have the Steelers. Again, maybe I'd flip them in the Bills in retrospect, but this is all about defense for me. This defense looks amazingly good, like absurdly good. I think it's probably the best looking defense in the NFL right now. I know they couldn't put Denver away, especially with who? Was it Simeon? No. It was what's his name? The dude who was on the Lions last year. I forgot his name. Denver's backup quarterback. They couldn't put Jeff Driscoll. They couldn't put him away. But I like what I see from this team. Offensively, Big Ben, you can tell there's a little rust there, but he obviously is better than Mason Rudolph or Duck Hodges. Obviously, he has a connection with Juju. And Deontay Johnson, I think, is having a breakout season. And James Conner looked really good on Sunday, which was nice to see. So I have them at number 5. Defense mainly. And at number 4, maybe this is my most unpopular placement. I have the Chiefs at number 4. And as you see, everyone else has them at 1 or 2. Keep in mind, okay, I'm simply going off of what I've seen so far. Okay, they dominated week 1, and they struggled in week 2. Everybody above them has looked amazing both times. Okay, and the Chiefs, they look good against the Chargers. The Chargers are a pretty good team, and the Chiefs they didn't play their regular style of play. They had to slow down a little bit, and they won the game. But, them being at 4 is not a bad thing. I think the Chiefs are amazing. I think that they're one of, if not the Super Bowl favorite still. But I just have them at 4 right now. I think 3 teams have looked a little tiny bit more impressive through the start of the season so far. And number 3, it's the Seahawks. Defensively, it's pretty bad. But Russell Wilson looks like he might have a historic season. He looks like the best quarterback in the NFL. He's probably been the best quarterback in the NFL the last 2 years, but especially so this year. Sports Illustrated has him at 1. I don't think I can go that far. Defensively, there's way too many questions. Their secondary has played well at times. Their defensive line is not good. Cam Newton had all time to throw on Sunday night. But with Russell Wilson playing the way he's playing right now, this team is a top 3 team for sure. They look terrifying. They are going to, oh God, they're going to steamroll the Cowboys, guys. They're going to murder them. All right, number 2, this might be pretty high. I don't know about this one. I have the Green Bay Packers. I'm at 2 because they've dominated, just blew 2 blowouts. And offensively, they look unstoppable. Alan Lazard and MVS, if they're going to have these type of seasons, how do you stop this team? Devontae Adams being hurt, I don't know what his status is, but that's obviously a little spooky. Aaron Jones looks amazing again. Aaron Rodgers looks absolutely amazing. Defensively, they look fine. It's been weird defensively because they've been blowing teams out, so teams are going to have to throw on them a million times. So we haven't really seen what this defense is capable of yet. But I have them at number 2. Maybe it's a little high, but that's where I have them. And at number 1, easily. If you're going just based off of this season and what we've seen so far, there's no way it can't be the Ravens. They look absolutely amazing on both sides of the ball. They spent pretty much the entire offseason trying to beef up that D-line, and it shows. They have maybe, as a unit, Bills fans, maybe the best secondary in the NFL. And offensively, what more can you say? They just look absolutely amazing. Literally, there's nothing else to say. They look that good. So that's what I got. Let me know if I'm a dumbass and what you would have had differently. I know power rankings really piss people off, so that's why I wanted to get it. I wanted to get a piece of it. So go ahead and like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, all of that good stuff, man. We'll come at you with week 3 picks tomorrow. Hey, listen, you guys are going to respect us when it comes to picks, okay? 13-3 last week, both of us. You guys are going to respect us. At some point, you will respect us. All right, that's all we got. So, yeah.